But what you see here, I think those things are the injectors. And yeah, so one injector here, there, and so on. I was also just looking how the power goes, like the power cables. Here's your plus that rests on your battery, and I can see that there's one cable going there, and I think here into the circuit where you've got not sure if I can open, oh here, like so. Yeah. Circuit, but I also see that like these are two cables, and one is going there, going into here, into this device, and from here there's also one cable, thick cable, going here all the way there, and you can see it goes down into the alternator. It's over there, below that thick tube. There's it. And I see here a connector that connects to the power cable for the injectors, for those. And I see that it comes from this bundle of cables, and these are not only cables, there's also metal, as you can see here. There, this is metal here. So this is a metal construction that goes all the way like there, and there. I think it goes into the circuit for the car itself, so inside the car. I'm not quite sure, but it's whoa, it's complex. And here you also see like the cables that go into the spark plugs, so they cause the spark plugs to fire. So again, here you've got the spark plugs underneath. You need to disconnect this, get rid of this. First, of course, unscrew here these screws. So here you've got the spark plugs. So here, where my toilet paper is, the air goes inside the engine. And here you've got those injectors, so they inject the gasoline into this gasoline engine. So you've got air, you've got gasoline, and you've got your spark plugs causing electrical fire. So there's fire, gasoline, air, explosions, and those happen more inside the car. So what I expect, this is V6, meaning that it has got two blocks. So underneath here I expect valves that go deeper, and deeper you will have the cylinders, and here as well. So we've got two of the same blocks with valves and below cylinders. Okay, a little bit about the sensors. So from what I know, this is the MAP sensor. So it measures the pressure of the air inside the intake manifold. And we've got here a sensor which checks, I think, the throttle body to see the position of the throttle body, so if it's open or closed. More sensors. See, that's a heat shield, and the heat shield is covering the outlet. The outlet is very hot. And what we've got there in the center of the view is also a sensor. This is I think an oxygen sensor, and there should be also one, I think that one on the other end as well. and well, those measure the oxygen in the air coming out of the engine. Then I think here this is the coolant hose, and it goes in the engine or out the engine. I'm not quite sure which side here. Anyway, I think this is the temperature sensor for the coolant. So those are some of the sensors. What I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to remove here the this rack, the fuel rack, and I'm going to do that by unscrewing these screws. Oh well, all the screws here. Oh, where's that? Yeah, here's one screw, and so on. So to loosen this this up, and I hope I don't spill too much gasoline, because through this tube the gasoline is coming here inside the system, because I want to dive a bit deeper there below. So to remove these screws, need 8mm. 8mm. Okay, I did untighten those screws, and there wasn't really that much. Well, it was just, the tricky part was just to get them loose, but now you can just unscrew them easily. Another thing I wanted to do, or want to do, is to unplug these from the injectors. So I found out that this one is also a bit oily on the top, and this is how these screws look like. Oh, come on, yeah, focus. All right, these are connected with these clamps. Let me see, here's how it looks like, and the clamp is here and on the other side. So you take a flat screwdriver like so, you just move it a bit aside, and to do it also from the other side with your fingers, with two hands, and then you can pull it, like you're going to rotate it a bit to the back, and it will come loose like so. And see, so this is how that looks like. So you need to do it on the other side as well. So I did loosen these, and here there's still one clamp, and I think also, yeah, here connectors. So these connectors all need to go loose. So if you do so, and you pry this thing a bit up, then it's going to loosen. Perhaps there's a different way of doing this. Some gasoline will get out, so it's good to have a bit of towel to keep it there. And I need to be a bit careful with electricity in the surroundings of the gasoline, of course. And I can smell the gasoline fumes. This one just got out from here, so I did pull it out of the engine, I think. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these so I can, and I'm going to loosen this sensor, so I'm going to take that away so it's not in my way, and can move this rack up and out of the way. Okay, opening these connectors, need to push this down and then force it in this direction. Let me see if I can do it by one hand. Now I'm going to pull the cables. Okay, I'm going to do it with two hands. So again, apply the force downward, and this lip will go up, and then jiggle until it gets out. And did that already there, so two more to go. And unfortunately I did break this part here. Yeah, it was like this, and what I did was I forced here on this spot and then it broke. I tried to get it open, but well, now at least I can get it out easily. Now to get it from these screws, I think it just needs to be pulled up with a screwdriver to force it over. I'm going to do that with 2 hands. Okay, so the fuel rack is out of the way. I did loosen this cable, and well, 2 more of these things got out. I need to unscrew this one, that one, and perhaps even on more spots. Yeah, here. So last screw is, how to show you, is there. There it is. Okay, that one, and the other side, that one. So these are the 4 screws that came out of the engine. 2 of them have some corrosion, and these 2 look like new. Okay, now with all these screws loose, you can see this whole rack is just loose and you can just move it out. So I'm going to try to do that. Not sure if it's, yeah, like so. From below there are also gaskets. There and there, there. Let me see. And this one looks dirty. Greasy. This one is okay, and this one is also dirty. And let's do the same with the other one. Like so. Here as well. So this is how it looks like. And I need to pull something in here as well, just to close this up. So I think I'm going to remove the cover. First I need to remove the spark plugs. So these are the connectors for the spark plugs. So the real spark plugs are deeper. They're also here on this side. So perhaps I'm going to start with these because these are easier accessible. Okay. Those screws look like that. So with everything loose, now it should be just taking them, put the light here, just taking them and pulling them up. That went smooth. So, and in the hole there you can see the actual spark plug. I found a difference. If we look at these, you can see all nice and shiny, nothing wrong. Those are the ones in the front, but these came out from behind, and this is all rust. So to take out all of these spark plugs, we can use a spark plug tool, and this kind of socket is easy. Put this thing inside like so, and then just rotate like so. So these spark plugs are quite stiff turned in here in this engine. What I had to do So I had to take like this metal bar, put it on this thing to make it more like a lever. So thank you very much for putting so much force on those spark plugs. Trying to getting loose, I broke my tool. As you can see, the handle is all loose now. In the end it did work, but I had to use a 17mm. You can see this is the spark plug. Need to get it out of this. So this is the first spark plug. Alright, so if your spark plug doesn't get out itself, you can use these long kinds of pliers and just grab it and get it out. If you do it the correct way, so not the way I did it, you should also remove the debris from inside before you get out those spark plugs, because now if it's dirty, this dirt might get inside. Here on this one, the distance between is very narrow, or shallow, not narrow, and here it's wider. So I think if I want to reuse these spark plugs, I also need to adjust the distance between the outer part and where the sparks come from. So also this is a hole where something can get inside the engine, so I want to cover this up with paper. I'm going to work a bit underneath the car, and only standing here on this thing. So what I want to do is I want to also place the wheel underneath the car, so if this one fails, it won't crush me completely. Okay, wheel, a supportive piece of wood. So now I hope this helps a bit. If you're going to drain the oil, it's important to remove the oil cap, which will usually have this symbol. Do that. But the reason I want to remove the oil first is because there might be a lot of oil inside the engine itself, and we don't want it dripping all over the place. Okay, so cap removed. Can look in the cap if we like, for example, if you see here a different color of oil, like if it's a bit milky, this is a bad sign. That might be because there is coolant mixed together with the motor oil, and this will be a big sign that there's something severely broken here below, like a broken head gasket at best. Okay, I'm looking underneath the car and I'm looking for two things. First is the oil filter. If you replace the motor oil, always replace the filter. And if I look here, so this is the oil pan. It's underneath your engine. There are two of these pans usually. This one is for the engine oil, and there's also one for the transmission oil. But the one in the front is the oil pan. Right, and so somewhere next to it you'll find here, in this case it's here, but it might be on other cars, it might be in a different spot. This is your oil filter. So to remove this, you are going to need a special tool. In my case, I use a very simple tool to remove it, but there are clamps that you can put on this and unscrew it. It's not screwed on very firmly, and if you put it back, also be aware not to put too much force on it, because it's rubber in between that will hold this system closed. Okay, so and the second thing we want to check is see, perhaps it's easier with the camera. So, no need to. Yeah, what you can see there is a bolt, and this bolt, or a screw. This is a screw, and this, if you unscrew this one, then the motor oil will come gushing out. So we need some buckets below, and then remove the screw. So we already did drain the coolant from the car, so this is unavailable to us. So I needed something to store the waste, and what I found here is a very cheap solution. Just buy a jerry can of distilled water, and well, this one just did cost me €1.50, while such a jerry can will cost you about 10 or more, so that's a lot of money. And this will do just fine, and this water, so I can just pour it out on the grass, and the grass will grow as well. So I'm going to use this one. Okay, I don't even think I'm going to need this one, because we've got this tube here and everything is going to go through this, so I think it will fit into that hole as well. Done. Now we've got here our old coolant. As you can see, this jerry can should have been 5 liters, but it's still not completely filled, so you know about the amount of cooling fluid that goes into this Jaguar X type. I'm going to close this one, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write that this isn't distilled water, but it's old coolant, so not to create any harmful situations. Okay, for the screw for the oil pan, I'm going to need this tool, number 13 millimeter. And now it's best, if we now know how big this one is that we need to place the reservoir oil underneath there, where the oil is going to pour out. It's going to pour out quite hard. Also wear gloves, because you're going to get really dirty with this thing. And if everything is put underneath, then remove the screw slowly. I'm going to set it on remove. This is this position. So this one is to screw them on, and this is to unscrew screws. Okay, there is the bolt, or the screw, I mean. And the oil is going in this case, so I'm going to go straight down. It's going to go like that. So we need to have this bucket a bit underneath, but mostly more further away from the position of that screw. Okay. And if this one is okay. Okay, what isn't it? It's stuck quite well, so I need a bigger wrench for this, I think. Okay, it took me penetrating oil, putting it on there, and put this side on the screw, and now it is loose. I was fearing that it would break, but it didn't.
Daniel, ik wil ook zien dat hij licht geeft. Daniel, ik wil ook zien dat hij licht geeft.
Kijk eens.
Ik kan
Oppassen, oppassen, oppassen. Verder weg, maar wel laag. Oké? Ja? Kijk maar wat er gaat gebeuren. Oké, have a look. I'm unscrewing the screw. And now...
Ik had een beetje dichtbij hier.
There it is. Motor oil. Okay, this is how the screw looks. Usually there is a ring that's beneath this screw, and you need to replace the ring every time you replace or you open up this oil pan. But in this case, I think there's just here this rubber in the screw itself. Next, I'm going to remove these screws. This is number 8 millimeter. Okay, some more screws. So this one, that one. Where is it? This screw, that screw. I need to unscrew this one here. I need to loosen this first, and that one as well, and these two, but they are a different socket. And to lift everything up here, I also need to unclamp this. I'm going to use this tool for it. And of course this sensor also needs to be unplugged. And this time I first am going to check out how this actually is fastened before I break things. So I need to push here on this side, I think, and move it out. I hope. Yeah, there it goes. Nice. Once without breaking things. And for these two we need 10 millimeter. This bolt is not going up. Well, in these there was just a bolt moving up and cutting here. Okay, with these screws, yeah, you just unscrew them until they're completely loose and then pull them out, and then you get this whole system out. These 7 millimeter. I'm not sure if they need to come out, but I want to get them out anyway, because if later on, if I want to install back everything, I want these to be fastened. Okay, this one is out of the way. Now we can try to remove this tube. As I thought, this won't come off easily. So what I'm going to try, yeah, I see there's only one bolt here. I'm going to try to unbolt this. Luckily this worked, so I did unbolton it. Let me see what range I used. Range number 8 millimeter. Unbolted this screw, and then I just pulled it out, and now it's free. So I need to check here. This is loose. These need to come off, I think, else I can move it up. And I removed this one. Well, this one broke, was too old, and this one I could remove from the screw, so I need to unscrew these two screws. Let me see. I think here is also a system holding with clamps these wires that are beneath, and those are the wires for the alternator. I need to check how to unclamp this. And from what I see, yeah, you can clamp it just that easily. Yeah. Pieces are breaking like crazy. This one was a clamp sitting in there, holding this clamp in place. But well, let's go to the trash bin now. Okay, these clamps are screwed on these screws. So what you do is you just rotate them around to unscrew them. This was a 10, and I think I broke something again. I did pull it out, but here, like these two, they went out okay. But this one is still in there, and only the screw was pulled out. Okay, so this one was an 8mm and it's now loose. I see there's tie rip here, and I see that there's a plug for a sensor or something. So I need to remove this one as well. Okay, this piece, as you can see, there's a clamp there. I'm going to put a smaller screwdriver underneath and try to shove it out. Big chance it's going to break, because if I like push here on this side, there's already squeaking of plastic, so I'll try to do my best not to break it. And you know what? I think I have figured out why these came out so hard. The conclusion of the whole story is only to loosen the screws and do not pull out this whole system. So what I did here was wrong. I shouldn't have pulled out the whole screw together with the fitting. So I'm not going to do that here. This one is loosened. This one is... I'm trying to unscrew this screw so I can remove this whole metal plate, because it's going to keep in the way. And then only these two remain for me, because this one is loosened, this one is loosened. Oh yeah, and this one also needs to be loosened. And this rack. Oh, also this one needs to be loosened in that case, I see. So I can put this metal piece up so to get it over this screw. Perfect. So this one is loose, this one is loose, this one is loose, loose. And so this I got out by unscrewing that bolt. So there's a bit of space here so I could move it up. And now it's out of the way, and this one is also loose. This one is not tight, so this is also loose. So I think now, oh wait, forgot one more screw, two more screws. Need to unscrew these two, and I think the whole cover will be loose. So usually it would help to unscrew all the screws and to be able to get underneath this cover. But I think I've got a problem here. Again, why not? This whole car is one big problem. Here. I think the previous owner did use gasket maker, and quite a lot of it. So it seems as if the cover is glued to the underneath of it is glued stuck. That's basically it. So I'm going to show you something else instead now, and that's how to remove the water pump. Okay, so in the previous videos you saw that I removed the battery and the battery basket, not sure how it's called, and finally you'll get to see this system. Now here in this you'll put over such a tool, open it until it fits there, and then you'll be able to move it aside, and then you'll loosen this belt. Okay, like so. And we're going to pull this one up, and you can see very gently, you can see this belt now is loose, and it will come off like so. This is the belt. And I think it's, well, it's not that stiff. Is it cracked? No, it's quite old, but it's not cracked yet. I'm going to throw this one away. And now here we've got the passage to our water pump. What we need to do is we need to unscrew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 7, 8, so I need to remove this one as well, else we won't be able to get to these two bolts. So these screws came loose with how much? 8mm. Nice. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll just first unscrew all those. Oh, here. See, this one is a long one. This one is short. Short. And short. Previous one also is short. And here, this one is short. The screw fell. Here. Okay. Short screws, and so there are 2 long screws. Oh no, this is also, yeah, this is a long screw, and long screw here. So, and it still doesn't come loose. Use this kind of hammer, rubber, and hit here. And you also might want to use a flat screwdriver, put it on there and gently hit several times and it will come loose. But a lot of coolant will also drain from here. So, well, there's no oil coming from here anymore. So I need to pour this oil into the jerry can and use this bucket. As you can see here, this oil is very black. So that shouldn't be the case. Okay, it was dripping from there. And I put the bucket over there, exactly where there already was some coolant on the ground. And now it's time to pull this loose. You can see there's coolant gushing from there. It's still not completely loose. Need to work on it a bit more. Okay, put the screwdriver here, and you can see lots and lots of coolant getting out of the car. And there it is. And that's a hole where the coolant gets in and it gets forced into the car. This runs around and causes the coolant to go through the whole car. Okay, we need to of course clean up all the coolant in the car so nothing will get rusted there. And you also need to check if your old part and new part are the same. So here I think they're pretty much the same. So I need to check on this side. Also here I think those are the same. 2, 2,